Hey there everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you're all doing well out there. I'm doing good here, just working a little bit, working on the store. I'm really working on the aesthetic of the store, like really getting it looking good. I've got somebody new working with me doing the changes on that, so exciting stuff in 2019. Today I want to talk about raw food diet experts and educators. Guys, I do videos every day, so if you haven't already done it, I'd appreciate it if you'd go down and hit that red subscribe button right now, then click on the little bell, then send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. Can't remember if I wore this on here yet. Got a new beanie up on the site, powered by plants. Digging it, digging it. Starting to wear my gear more and more. This hoodie's really comfortable. Anyhow, okay. People are always asking me about the raw food diet experts and educators, which one I watch, this, that, and the other, whatever. So no, I'm not going into any particular educators, but I just have a certain, and I've even been asked, oh, Jack, do you think you're an educator or an expert or whatever? Oh, God, no, I'm not an expert. I'm probably becoming more of an expert on Jack. And I am more of an expert on Jack than anybody else, but outside of that, no, I'm not an educator. You know what I like to think, and a lot of people don't know when I mention this term with them, I like to think more of myself as a curator than creating this information, because, just quite frankly, because that's just how I believe. You know, there's too many. This lifestyle hasn't been around that long. There's not that much stuff to fall back on as far as studies or whatever. So I really take that whole expert thing with a grain of salt. And there's a lot of people calling themselves experts and educators, and not necessarily true. Point I'm getting at here is you don't want somebody like me as an educator. You just don't. You know, I don't recommend YouTube people like us, you know, people that are just, you know, have come to this lifestyle and doing it, being your source for education. I like to curate. That's why I'm always sharing stuff. That's why I'm always mentioning the names of like the books I read and the people that I actually go to. Listen, I know this whole YouTube thing is where it's at in 2018, but I'm going to tell you straight out, some of the best knowledge on this lifestyle is not coming from people doing YouTube videos. In fact, some of them I wish they were. Some of the bigger people, like there's a lot of those people at Woodstock, they've been doing this forever. You know, like the presenters there, but they don't necessarily do a whole lot of YouTube type stuff. So, and then again, I'm not even sure who you would consider an expert, but listen, I like to go to the source. I used that analogy the other day. I'm like, why do you ask a teacher? When you're coming to somebody like me, you're asking a student. I mean, that's what I was about to say. Why do you want to ask a student when you can ask a teacher? That's why my sources, the resources that I always recommend, are generally published. They got a little bit something more going on with them. And a lot, and I've mentioned this a lot too, of what I consider my raw food educators are not raw food people. I get the principles and I see what's going on. I watch Dr. Greger all the time. You know, I watch a lot of these guys. I've watched, you know, the stuff, I've listened to Caldwell Esselstyn talk a number of times. I've listened to his son talk a lot of times. And quite frankly, I've gotten a bit more understanding and the science part of it out of people that aren't raw. Look, folks, there's not that much to fall back on when it comes to this raw thing. So that's why I say I'm really dubious when people are like expert, you know, all that kind of stuff, because there's not enough to go back on. There's not enough of a test group. I mean, there's not enough to look at. I mean, you know, we can't go back and say, okay, this group, let's study this group, this community, or this people, they have been raw. As far as I know, there's never been a raw society. There's never been a raw society. So to a large extent, a lot of people are just making it up as they go. A lot of people are making up bullshit. A lot of people, but even that's just out of necessity. We are all kind of making it up as we go. But yeah, you know, like I say, YouTube is a great thing. I love YouTube. I spend all kind of time on YouTube. but I also know what I'm doing when I'm in YouTube. I goof off as big time as most people do, but I know the difference between entertainment and learning, education. So a lot of times I'll watch things. I'll watch people that, you know, in our kind of genre that do this kind of thing for entertainment purposes, because I just like their vibe, or maybe I'm looking up a recipe or whatever. But yeah, I don't get my knowledge from that. I think that some of the most educational sources I've had, one of the best ever, Dr. Greger. He's got about an hour-long talk on YouTube that people have shared. I think it's one talk. And it came out a long time before his book, How Not to Die, but it's basically covering all those things. So I like to watch that. I love to watch his talk. He's got an hour talk. Find him. Good stuff. Brenda Davis. You can find, you know, I mention her all the time. You can find her. You can find a talk of hers on YouTube. She doesn't have a channel, but if you search Brenda Davis veganism, you're going to get one that comes up that's been shared by a number of different people. That's a bit over an hour. That's excellent information. I use Google. I use the search option on YouTube, and I'm very discerning about the places where I'm going when I'm actually want to get knowledge, when I want to get the best understanding of what I'm trying to do. Because, you know, this YouTube world, that, like I say, it's entertainment. There's a lot of entertainment in there. Now, there's a lot of value in it as well. But, you know, that should not be, let me say this, I want you to pay attention. That should not be, YouTube videos by people like me and just random people should not be your source on this lifestyle. If you do that, you're probably going to make mistakes. Or I would say do just the opposite. Watch everybody, and just see what makes sense to you. You know, come on. I think a lot of times people just don't even trust their common sense or their own intelligence. I've killed a lot of brain cells. I'm getting old, and I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but when I hear something, I usually have enough common sense to kind of figure it out. So I've kind of done that process going along. I watch a little bit here. I try this out. Somebody says something when I am actually watching YouTube videos from sources that I really like. You know, I apply this in my head. I'm like, does that make sense? And yes, that makes sense. And so far, that has not let me down yet. There's stuff I hear every day. Couldn't tell you why, couldn't explain it, couldn't repeat it, but I understand why, and I agree. And then there's other stuff out there that I just, no, it just doesn't, that people put out there that just doesn't make sense because of my common sense. So use your common sense. Just because you're new to this lifestyle, don't like just put yourself in somebody else's hands. As I say over and over and over, you got to be active in this process of your own health. And that's something that we've not been programmed to do. We're programmed to just listen to those guys in the white coats and you know, mindlessly while they tell us stuff. Well, I like, following up on that video about skeptic, I like to question everything. I like to, you know, I want real answers. And a lot of times, you know, I have to go straight to the source for things like that. Now, sometimes I do go to YouTube. Let's say if I'm trying to check something or get an idea of what other people think about it when I'm preparing a video, I will go. Or sometimes I want to know something for myself, so I will go to YouTube because I've kind of learned how to use it. I'll go to YouTube and I'll search whatever the subject is, and what I'll do is I'll watch and I'll try to, you know, go through, fast forward. I will try to pick out like 4 or 5 videos and I'm like, okay, this looks like maybe some good stuff. And I'll watch little snippets from all of them and just see. And it always comes to me. It's like, dude, this person, what the hell are they talking about? This person, I don't know all of that, or maybe I don't understand exactly all the details, but that just makes sense. Man, this whole journey for me, I would not be still on it. I would have probably been falling off a long time ago if it just didn't make sense to me. I told you guys about why I went vegan, why I stayed vegan. It just, don't ask me why, it just made sense. And it made sense to a guy that was just a little bit fresh off of being a drunk and eating some of the worst food in the world. You know, it's like, I don't want to get all dramatic here, but it's almost like when you hear the real truth, it's pretty profound. And, you know, hearing the real truth about how we're really supposed to eat, you know, just opened my eyes to a whole nother world, a whole nother way of living. But just to finish off here, I'm going to go back to what I said. I don't want to ever make you dependent on anybody else. From day one, be self-sufficient. You know, like you drive the car. You can let some of these other people give you directions, but you drive the car and you always make the decision where you're going to make the turns, where you're going straight, and what you're going to do. No matter what we're doing in life, even business stuff with money, I've seen people get fleeced because they're not involved in the process. I like to, pretty much anything that's going on with me, I like to be involved in the process. So I have been very, am I an expert? No. Am I an educator? No, I'm a curator. I'm kind of, but if you call me, am I educated on this lifestyle? Well, I'm self-educated on this lifestyle, and I'm a master of Jack. How my body processes things. And that's how it should be. This thing's a personal journey for all of us. Everybody's got a different spin. Everybody's got their own opinion on this little, well, no, I don't eat this. No, I don't do that. So personalize this thing for yourself. Take control. Stop depending on other people. Hey, I don't want to run you away, but every video that can be made on this subject has already been made. If you go to YouTube, I bet there's what? I wouldn't even want to guesstimate 30 million of, or maybe that's a little too much for this, but every subject has always been talked about. So use those search options. Best way to educate yourself, Google, YouTube, if you know how to do like hone in and do searches. So anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and we'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.